Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The bold and the beautiful spoilers are in for Wednesday, May 28, 2025. In tomorrow's episode, fans will see Sheila Carter-Sharp, Kimberlyn Brown, issue a warning. Luna Nozawa, Lisa Yamada, sends a text to Will Spencer, Crew Morrow. Plus, Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, gears up for a showdown. Let's begin with Sheila and Luna, who will have a conversation about Will. In tomorrow's episode, Luna will talk about sending her crush a text message, one that will make him drool over her. Sheila thinks it's a bad idea, especially after her last trick didn't go over so well. Luna ignores her grandmother's advice and sends a text message to Will anyway. Luna just can't help herself. The young woman has tried to get a fresh start but doesn't seem to understand that she also has to prove herself. That takes commitment and time. Luna just wants to have whatever she wants without having to put any of the work in. Now, with John Finnegan, Tanner Novlan, rejecting Luna yet again, her focus is back on Will. While Luna won't see the harm in a text message, it doesn't lead to a huge catfight. The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that Luna has tried to tempt Will multiple times before. Luna is stripped down to her underwear, ambushing Will at Forrester Creations. The intern still didn't give in to Luna, so what makes her think a text message will change things? Over to Will, he will likely show the text message to Electra. On Wednesday, May 28, fans will see Electra and Luna have a fierce confrontation. This most likely takes place at the apartment where Luna has been staying. This isn't just a confrontation, but a showdown. Electra refuses to back down, and there is a huge brawl. In fact, Sheila is forced to break up the two fighting women. However, if Deacon Sharp, Scene Cannon, is at El Giardino, that could lead to some major complications for Sheila. We know that Sheila and Luna's secret is still safe at the end of the week, when she decides Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline Missinswood, must die. So stay tuned for that explosive scene. The Forrester mansion hummed with tension as dawn broke over Los Angeles. The golden light streaming through the windows did little to soften the steely resolve in Sheila Carter's eyes. Sheila was back on the warpath, and today would be the day her warning would send shockwaves through the lives of the Forresters, the Spencers, and anyone foolish enough to cross her. Sheila's warning, a dangerous game. Sheila's morning had begun with a cryptic phone call to Deacon. He answered sleepily, his voice a raspy whisper, but Sheila was already in full command. "Deacon, it's Sheila," she purred, her tone deceptively calm. "I've had enough of the games. Today, I make them listen, whether they want to or not." Deacon tried to talk her down, reminding her that she had made strides to prove she was reformed. But Sheila wasn't interested in redemption anymore. She was interested in results. At the Forrester Creations offices, Steffi was distracted. She had spent the night worrying about Finn. Rumors were swirling that he was working late with someone named Daphne, a new consultant who had caught Finn's attention. Steffi trusted Finn, but something about Daphne's saccharine smile and too sweet demeanor put her on edge. Before Steffi could spiral deeper into her paranoia, Sheila's sudden arrival in the executive office snapped her out of her thoughts. Sheila stood in the doorway, a vision in black with an ominous smile playing at her lips. "Hello, Steffi," Sheila drawled. "I think it's time we talked. Alone." Steffi bristled but gestured for Sheila to speak. Sheila's voice was low, but every word was as sharp as a dagger. "You think you're safe, don't you? You think that because you've built this empire, you're untouchable. But you're wrong, you're more vulnerable than ever." Steffi's jaw clenched. "Are you threatening me? I'm warning you," Sheila corrected softly. "Finn is in danger. You're in danger. And if you don't start listening to me, you're going to lose everything." Before Steffi could respond, Sheila was gone, vanishing down the hall like a shadow, leaving Steffi with a heart racing in her chest. Will's temptation, a heart torn. Meanwhile, at the Spencer Publications offices, Will Spencer was grappling with a temptation that threatened to consume him. Now a young man with the same magnetic charm as his father, Will had spent years trying to forge his own path. But temptation had a way of finding him, especially now that he was working closely with Paris Buckingham. Paris had been a breath of fresh air in Will's world of cutthroat business deals. Her optimism, her drive, it was intoxicating. But she was also in a fragile state, reeling from her own heartbreak over Zend. Will found himself wanting to be there for her, to be the man she needed. Today, Paris arrived at the office in a pale yellow dress that practically glowed in the sunlight. Will couldn't take his eyes off her, but he forced himself to focus on the marketing presentation they were supposed to deliver. Will, Paris said gently, placing a hand on his arm. You seem distracted. Is something wrong? Will hesitated. His heart was telling him to confess everything, to tell Paris how he felt, to admit he wanted to be more than just her confidant. But his father's voice echoed in his head, a warning not to let personal feelings interfere with business. No, it's nothing, Will lied. Let's just get through this presentation. But as Paris began to speak, Will's gaze lingered on her lips, her smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about their new campaign. He was fighting a losing battle, and he knew it. After the presentation, Will found Paris in the break room. She was fussing with her hair, clearly flustered by the meeting. You were amazing in there, he said softly. Paris blushed. Thanks, Will. That means a lot. Before he could stop himself, Will reached out and brushed a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, everything else fell away. The walls of the office, the expectations of their families, it all disappeared. I don't want to complicate things, Will whispered. But I can't ignore this anymore. I want to be with you, Paris. Paris's breath hitched, her eyes wide with shock, and something else. Longing. Will, she began, but he cut her off with a soft, desperate kiss. It was brief, but it was enough to set both their hearts racing. Paris pulled back, her fingers trembling as she touched her lips. We can't. It's too complicated. I know, Will said, his voice husky. But I can't help it. The air between them crackled with tension, and they both knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Electra's showdown. A new force arrives. Across town at Il Giardino, a new presence was stirring. Electra Donatelli, the striking Italian heiress and fashion maven, had arrived in Los Angeles with one goal: to claim her place at the top of the fashion world. Electra had never been one to play by the rules. With her raven hair, emerald eyes, and a wardrobe that could make even the Forrester models weep with envy, she commanded attention wherever she went. Today, she had set her sights on Ridge Forrester. She had heard whispers about the legendary designer, and she wanted in. Electra knew that to make her mark in the city, she had to conquer the king of the fashion world. Ridge was at Il Giardino for a meeting when Electra approached him, her presence like a shot of adrenaline. Ridge Forrester, she said with a dazzling smile. I've heard so much about you. Ridge looked up from his phone, surprised. And you, Ari? Electra Donatelli, she said, offering her hand. I'm launching my own line, and I want to collaborate with you. Ridge arched an eyebrow. You're ambitious. I like that. But the Forresters don't just work with anyone. Electra leaned in, her voice silky. Oh, I'm not just anyone, Ridge. I'm the future of fashion, and you're going to help me prove it. Their conversation was interrupted by Brooke Logan, who had arrived to meet Ridge. Brooke took one look at Electra and bristled. Who's this? Brooke demanded, her eyes narrowing. Electra turned, her expression cool and polite. I'm Electra Donatelli. And you are? Brooke Logan, Ridge's wife, Brooke said pointedly. Electra's smile widened just a fraction. Of course. Well, I suppose you're used to sharing your husband's attention. But don't worry, I'm only interested in business. Brooke's eyes flashed. She knew a rival when she saw one. We'll see about that. The tension crackled between them like static electricity, and Ridge couldn't help but notice the competitive spark in Brooke's eyes. Electra's arrival was a challenge, a threat that Brooke wasn't about to ignore. A night of secrets and sins. As night fell over Los Angeles, the drama reached a fever pitch. Sheila retreated to her apartment, her mind buzzing with plans. She knew Steffi would never take her warning seriously, not until it was too late. Sheila's fingers drummed against her wine glass as she stared at the city lights, already envisioning the chaos to come. At Spencer Publications, Will lay awake in his office, replaying the kiss with Paris over and over. He wanted to tell her everything, how he had been falling for her for months, how he couldn't stand the idea of her with anyone else. But the consequences loomed large. His father's empire, his family's name, it was all on the line. And at Il Giardino, Electra was holding court with a group of influential designers, her laughter echoing through the restaurant. But her mind was already racing ahead to her next move. She wanted Ridge on her side, and she would do whatever it took to get him there. The final act? Confrontations brewing. The next morning, Steffi confided in Liam about Sheila's warning. Liam, ever the protector, was torn between supporting Steffi and confronting Sheila himself. He knew how dangerous Sheila could be, and the idea of her threatening Steffi or their family sent a chill down his spine. Meanwhile, Will summoned the courage to face Paris. He found her in the rooftop garden of Spencer Publications, her hair blowing gently in the breeze. "I meant what I said," Will told her. "I'm not backing down." Paris looked at him, her expression a mix of fear and longing. "Will, this could ruin everything. Your father, my reputation." "I don't care," Will said fiercely. "I care about you." Their eyes met, and for a moment, it felt like the world had stopped. But just as Paris opened her mouth to respond, they were interrupted by Bill Spencer himself. Bill's eyes narrowed as he took in the scene. "What's going on here?" Will straightened, his jaw set. "Nothing you need to worry about, Dad." Bill looked from Will to Paris and back again, his expression unreadable. "Make sure it stays that way." As Bill walked away, Will's shoulders slumped. He knew this was only the beginning. His father's approval had always been important, but his heart was no longer willing to wait. Back at Forrester Creations, Brooke confronted Ridge about Electra. "She's using you, Ridge," Brooke warned. "I don't trust her." Ridge sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Brooke, she's a force to be reckoned with. But you're the only one I trust." Brooke's eyes softened, but the worry in them remained. She knew Electra was trouble, and she wouldn't stand by and let another woman steal her husband's focus, or worse, his heart. A storm on the horizon. As the sun set on another day in Los Angeles, the city's glittering skyline was a backdrop to the secrets, desires, and betrayals simmering beneath the surface. Sheila's warning had been delivered, but its impact was only just beginning to unfold. Will's temptation had turned into a dangerous game of hearts, and Electra's arrival had thrown a match into the powder keg of the Forrester dynasty. Wednesday, May 28, was only the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new confrontations, new alliances, and new heartbreaks. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, the only certainty was that nothing, and no one, was ever safe. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Bold and BAUTLIFE AFUL UPDAT YouTube channel for more update news.